Hello there. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest. We continue to talk about the Lamborghini Kanpur crash because we often ask ourselves, is justice really blind or can it see wealth? Does a 20,000 rupee bond for a 10 crore rupee car, does it mock public perception? Take a look at this. 4 days after a high-speed crash involving a luxury Lamborghini Revuelto in Kanpur, the main accused Shivam, the heir to a prominent Gutka empire, was arrested and is already out on bail. Despite the severity of the incident and the fact that he was allegedly pulled from the driver's seat by the witnesses, Shivam spent almost no time behind bars. The high-profile road accident has raised serious questions. Questions about justice, about privilege, and our police's response. For 4 days, there was no arrest. Police say they formed 5 different teams and acted when they learned that he had returned to Kanpur. On the 12th of February, Mishra was finally held at his house, taken for a medical checkup, and produced before the ACJM court. The police sought 14 days of remand, but the court rejected it. Instead, bail was granted on a personal bond of rupees 20,000, and within hours of arrest, well, he walked free.
देखिए, सूचना प्राप्त हुई थी कि वो कानपुर आया हुआ है। इस सूचना के आधार पर हमारी टीमों ने कार्रवाई करते हुए उसको गिरफ्तार किया और गिरफ्तार करके माननीय न्यायालय में प्रस्तुत किया गया है। 5 टीमें गठित की गई थी, उन टीमों ने प्रयास करके गिरफ्तारी कर ली। देखिए, पुलिस की कार्रवाई में विवेचना में समग्र तथ्य प्रकाश में आ चुके हैं कि एक्सीडेंट के वक्त शिवम मिश्रा ही गाड़ी चला रहा था और उसमें आवश्यक अग्रिम कार्रवाई की जा रही है।
पुलिस ने ये जो कार्रवाई की थी, जो शिवम मिश्रा को गिरफ्तार किया था, वो अवैध थी, वो गलत थी। माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के आदेशों का अवहेलना है। तो माननीय न्यायालय ने अपने पूरे विवेक का इस्तेमाल करते हुए माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय की गाइडलाइन और बीएनएसएस के प्रावधानों को दृष्टिगत रखते हुए ये आदेश पारित किया है, रिमांड रिफ्यूज किया है। इससे उत्तर प्रदेश में कानून का राज स्थापित होगा।
You can decide for yourselves. But the timeline of these 4 days suggests a series of tactical delays that worked heavily in the suspect's favor. Because there was no immediate arrest. There was no immediate medical checkup. This means there is now no forensic way to prove if the driver was intoxicated at the time of the crash. Furthermore, a second driver theory was introduced by the defense, claiming a staff member was behind the wheel and not Shivam Mishra himself. A claim that persists despite video evidence clear-cut telling us and suggesting otherwise. During those crucial 96 hours, reports suggest that the time was also used to reach compromises with the victims and other witnesses. And as it stands, the Gutka heir is unlikely to see significant jail time unless the police can prove a deliberate cover-up or find a breakthrough in the forensic probe of the Lamborghini. This case may end in simple fines or civil suits. Now, whilst the public outcry is loud, the legal loopholes appear to be closing in his favor. We've got an esteemed set of panelists with us on the broadcast, and the big questions that we are asking tonight. No medical examination conducted on Shivam after the crash. Is this standard procedure, or was an exception made because of who Shivam is and where Shivam comes from? In cases involving powerful families, does equal justice under the law hold true, or do delays and deals actually make a difference? With me on the broadcast, Mr. Sanjay Sahai, retired IPS officer. Many thanks for taking out the time, sir. Preeti Banerjee, social activist, with us on the broadcast. Many thanks for joining us. Jyotika Kalra, advocate, Supreme Court, and former member, National Human Rights Commission. There's much more that we need to talk about here, advocate. But let me begin with Officer Sahai first. Sir, 4 days to arrest someone allegedly quite clearly visible on CCTV. This is the high-profile crash case. Is that normal policing, or is it avoidable delay? And I'm asking you this because the court denied the 14-day remand and granted bail on a 20,000 rupee bond for a 10 crore rupee car. From a policing perspective, what could have led to remand being refused? Does weak case documentation come into the play here?
Weak case documentation does not come into play as far as this particular case is concerned and the remand is concerned. The 10 crore car and having a commensurate punishment, I don't think that works out in law. That is not as per the legal provisions of this country. I will just break up the whole case so that it becomes very, very clear for the audience. So first is that unknown accused. So unknown accused should not have been there because there is CCTV footage and the like. And in case of the unknown accused, so they were trying to plant one Mr. Mohan, who the court did not accept, and police fought tooth and nail with all the documentation at their command, that is CCTV, circumstantial evidence and the like. And they were able to prove it to the court that Shivam was on the wheels and not anybody else. So that's point number two. And they have been very, very clear from the second day itself that it is Shivam and nobody else, and that is how 5 teams were made. Now, there is no denying the fact that 4 days elapsed, and there is absolutely no rocket science which is required to prove that from Kanpur to Delhi and back, there are any number of enough evidences which would be available, and they could have cracked the case, and they need not wait, or they shouldn't have waited for him to come back to Kanpur. So that's the third point. When you're talking about the alcohol part of it, there is no denying the fact, as per the standard operating procedure, this fellow should have been taken for medical examination, which was being done, I think, yesterday instead of that particular
No, you're
day.
absolutely right, Officer
So
Sai.
that-
You've made credible and pertinent points. All three of those points are very credible and pertinent. I'm trying to understand, and News9 in no way wants to put you in a tough spot, but we must ask: is it common?
No problem.
Is it common for influential people who have power, who have privilege, to get procedural advantages because, well, investigators hesitate because of who Shivam was and where Shivam came from?
See, it depends on the investigator. There is also no denying the fact that the influence also plays a role. But the point is, it depends on the officer, and officer can take a call. And there are tons and tons of officers who have been arresting these people left, right, and sundry, and for variety of cases in variety of ways, and they are even being convicted. But it's a general impression all around the place that the rich and the mighty and the influential. There is also another issue, that while the case gets charge sheeted, might be they charge sheet the case in another 3-4 days' time, and the case goes on for the judicial trial for another 3-4 years, then who is to be blamed? So we were talking about the medical examination part of it. Now the medical examination should have happened, but that it has not happened, for which one SHO has already paid for his job and he has been placed under suspension for and the other thing. Now the issue is the Shivam's being on the steering wheel is proven, and that is the most critical part. Now you're talking about 4 days left. There is no denying.
But is it
4
really
days left.
critical,
It should
sir?
not
Is it
have
really
been
critical?
done.
I
And
mean, the man is
I'll
still
just
again
finish it.
out. The man is still again out, officer.
No, I'll come to that. Now, all the case charges or the sections involved are bailable offences. And bailable offences with punishment less than 7 years, and no judicial officer can go beyond the law of the land. Now, that being the case, there are only two considerations in which bail can be rejected. When there is likelihood of this person to flee or to tamper with the evidence. Now, these two conditions in the judgment of the judicial officer, he did not find any reason primarily.
Officer, you spoke about tampering of evidence. Right at the accident spot, there's a fresh video that's out that the bouncers tried to remove the number plate of the car itself. Is that not obstruction of justice? And that is tampering of evidence.
No. I'll tell you.
I'll come back to you, Officer Sai. You know what? Let me bring in Advocate Kalra. Let me bring in, the other panelists also here. Advocate, on bail and the legal position, we were talking about this just yesterday. Is bail in such cases legally routine, or does the speed of the bailing process and the speed of the Lamborghini, no pun intended, raise eyebrows as well? What does remand denied actually signify here? Help the layman out there.
Kabir, I would like to make another point which you just referred to about giving a false evidence. In this case, the bigger question or larger question is not that whether whether Shivam was entitled to bail or not. The larger question is, from day one till today, there had been false evidences, false statements, false, persons brought before the police, brought before the prosecution, for the purpose of misleading the prosecution. So that is a larger question. if every case is being allowed to be handled like this by the police, that whosoever was, there was an impersonification, the police had to say, no, that driver was not there, this Shivam was
Yeah.
on the driving wheel. So all those things, they are punishable under section 227 and 231 of the BNS. So that is the larger question in this case. The state, if it believes that there should be law and order and people should have faith in the justice delivery system, then the
Advocate, what do you make of Shivam Mishra's lawyer, Mr. Naresh Chandra Tripathi, who says the police was working under due duress right from day one? Look at the confidence of these lawyers. I mean, isn't everybody lying right through their teeth?
That's what I'm saying. That is a larger question which needs to be addressed. That all those who lie before the prosecution, all those who lie before the this prosecution system, why should they not be punished? And on the face of it, there are evidences. There are strong evidences to that effect. That one driver, other driver taking out. So all those things must be taken seriously so that the people have the faith in the justice delivery system, including the prosecution, role of the prosecution in checking, in maintaining the rule of law.
You know what, Advocate? You know what? I'll ask you this. Officer Sahai was just telling us about tampering of evidence. You know, if there is plausible reason with the court that the evidence could be tampered, then, I mean, bail in those situations would not be given. 4 days. That's a massive gap. I mean, can an accused influence the timeline of the investigation by remaining quote-unquote unavailable, whether it's Delhi, whether it's the United States of America? You're unavailable for a few days. How do you think the accused can actually influence the timeline of the entire accident and, of course, manipulate evidence?
So that's there. But as I said, the sections which might have been invoked is like, to my understanding, 338 and 279 of the IPC, that is rash and negligent driving and causing grievous hurt by the rash and negligent driving. I have not seen the sections invoked in the FIR, but it is a serious case from the point of view of giving false evidence before the state. So that is more serious issue. If the state of UP, if the police of UP wishes that the people should have faith in the justice delivery system or in the rule of law, they must take stringent and strong action against a person. And if possible, 227 and 231 of giving a false evidence under the BNS, those sections should be invoked in the FIR, and there the punishment is 7 years of imprisonment. And that is because that is also quite apparent. And if those sections are invoked, if the police is serious about its own dignity, if its own
so it seems like,
procedure,
Advocate, these sections were cherry-picked. And of course, we know whom to help.
Yes.
Let's bring in Preeti Banerjee. Advocate, I'm going to come back to you. Preeti Banerjee, social activist, also with us on the broadcast. Preeti ji, what message do you think this sends out to the public? That wealth, if you have power, you have privilege, you can buy time, and with time, you can then later buy your freedom as well.
See, yes, absolutely right you are, because as a social activist and social worker, we've been from the time I have seen this case, it's in my mind that we are extensively working on, giving knowledge workshops for safety to the children, traffic rules and regulation. But the question arises that where is the social concern? The people who are coming from an influential background, do they feel so much entitled that they can do anything wrong and they can later on manipulate all these questions? And if it is so, why there are people who are not coming from that privileged background? They are always the victim. Why they are the victim always? So my question is that.
When the accused walks out within hours of the arrest, I mean, I'm just sitting here and thinking, what does it tell the victims? What must be going on in the minds of the victims? 4 days, a lot of compensation. There's a lot of privilege, a lot of money at play. Clearly, we know about the powers of the Gutka lobby at large, but something's got to give. How do we as a society now look beyond this? This is the same procedural speed that would have been different had it been a poorer person, a common man, in a hatchback, who would have met with the same incident, same accident. I mean, mob lynching would also be on the cards at that point if he did not have his own bouncers that were roaming around with him. So what needs to give now? How do we move beyond this as a society?
See, as I said, road safety campaigns, things, a lot of rules and regulation, we always try to provide in a larger circle. But as you said, that the person, the accused, what was going through on his mind during these days, I'm sure he was comfortable because he understands that he is coming from a background where things can be managed. Though I have firm belief in our legal system, and I'm sure that the investigation will take its time and it will be done. But my question again comes, those, as you said, those people who are roaming in this roads and traffic areas, and maybe a lay person who is not privileged enough, और उसके साथ अगर ऐसा कुछ होता, if something have happened exactly like this, and the car would not have been this expensive, it
Yeah.
would have been a simple car. So the action points, will that get so much of late, and the same process would have happened, or something else we would have seen?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is my question. And here, exactly in this society, people ask question to the privileged people because of this entitlement issue, because of this, they can delay the process, they can ask for many things, they have accessibility, they have guards. The guy had a lot of guards along with him, so they try to safeguard him and they helped him. But for a non-privileged person, a lay person, it would have been completely different. So how
Well,
we can grow as a society if something like this is
you're right.
happening?
Officer Sahai, would you like to answer that question that the social activist on the panel is asking us? And whilst you're at it, Officer Sahai, why do you think Shivam Mishra's lawyer, where does he get that confidence from that the police was acting under due pressure? I think they were acting under due pressure, but
So
for completely different reasons.
No. It is gone the other way around.
Yeah.
Hey, let's come to this. Now the Shivam Mishra's lawyers are talking about that legality was not followed in bailable offense, and police under pressure arrested him, and it should have stopped only by giving notice, which is the standard procedure. So this is a different legal story, which if you go by the tenets of the law,
Okay.
it is straight and clear. And that is why, see, any of us cannot get into the argument that the judicial officer, he was favoring Shivam Mishra, and that is why the bail was granted. If that is the case, they can move to the High Court or whosoever is the higher appellate authority,
Yeah.
and get the bail cancelled outright. Now, with what our social activist on the panel is talking about, there is no denying the fact that this nature of things are happening in this country, and until and unless we put a spoke in the wheel, and the spoke in the wheel is going to happen on a regular basis if we do traffic enforcement. If you get into this car and you see whatever has been happening, I think there will be enough footage in the camera which will give you where all these traffic offences have happened and no action has been taken. With regards to the other panelists, so she's been talking about false evidence or falsification. That is another case, and that needs to be taken up. And that is against father, against that lawyer, that deliberately they have tried to put this false sort of evidence and planted Mohan. And given the magnitude of this case and gravity of this case, the esteemed panelist certainly is correct about the fact that that is a bigger thing, and that is how things are made to move in a direction it should not be.
I'll ask you this, officer. See,
Yes.
I mean, had there been a murder, if somebody would have died because of that crash, I'm sitting here and thinking, maybe Shivam Mishra would have fled the country altogether. There was going to be no catching him in any case. If an accused is quote-unquote absconding, the police team said that they had formalized and made up 5 different teams, and they got a tip off that Shivam Mishra was back in Kanpur, and hence the arrest was made. Had he left the country, I don't think there was any way we were going to be able to touch him.
I can give you any number of scenarios.
I'm asking you, officer, wait, hold on. I'm asking you, what legal mechanisms allow for immediate actions? There are LOCs, there is passport seizure, there is international surveillance at various airports. What else is available to the police's domain?
We communicate to CBI, and CBI is the coordinating Interpol agency in this country. And as we have seen in case of Darshan, we have seen in case of Prajwal Revanna, and any number of cases, the recent case in Goa. So it is communicated, and all the immigration counters in this country are made known of it that he is a person who cannot fly out of this country. That's point number 1. If there are offenses by which the passport can be seized or impounded, whatever you call it, that particular action is taken. Thirdly, if somebody escapes like Prajwal Revanna, he can be declared persona non grata. And also in the case of the Goa case where there was, I think, a fire tragedy in one of the bars and pubs, they were forced to come back to India. So these are the legal provisions. What is more critical besides the legal provision is that the pace and speed at which police needs to act in a dynamic, real-time manner and see to it that these people are not under any circumstance, they move at large. Now, that is a very doable thing. It is not an undoable thing with cameras all around. I'll give you another instance. That is your Delhi bomb blast. Now, that fellow has crossed nearly 50 cameras during the course of the day. And the cameras were, I don't know, they were blind or what, and whatever artificial intelligence we have been talking about. So, something that has not happened. So, at the procedural level, where these lapses happen, I think the concerned officers, they need to pay for that. And that is not happening, and that is very critical.
Enforcement needs to be more tighter.
We have the largest number of fatal accidents in the world.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's gone up year by year. It's only getting stronger. And I mean, there's a massive surge.
Number one for last 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Final word from Advocate Kalra. You know, in your experience, you've been on both sides of the bar. In your experience, do economic elites get the benefit of this quote-unquote procedural comfort that we've seen over here that ordinary citizens clearly do not do? I know there's a saying that, you know, you look at somebody's shoes and you can judge their character, but why does it often appear that justice moves differently depending on what kind of a car somebody is driving in a case of a car crash?
So there is no doubt about it, because you show me the man, I'll show you the rule. It happens. It happens quite oftenly. And in this case, as I said, that this could have been, and it got so much of media coverage that it became a very, very serious issue. Otherwise, there was every possibility that this could have been hushed up.
Where do you see this headed, Advocate? Where do you see this headed now? Is this a cold and shut case now?
It's yet not. As I have understood, he has been released on bail on 20,000 security deposit. He has been released on bail. So this case will proceed, but because the sections of causing grievous hurt and rash and negligent driving, they are not very grave sections. They are bailable offences. So that is point number one. In this case, considering the falsehood and considering the evidences which have been brought before the police by the father, by the lawyer, and by the other person who claimed to be the driver. So all those needs to be taken seriously. If the police wants, if the UP police wishes that people should have faith in the law enforcement agencies, then police must come forward and show to the people that we are independent.
Let's hope. Let's hope that happens.
And that would also be a deterrence for people in future, that if they have power, they are not going to say false.
I think that's going to be set by example, ma'am. I personally have a little lump in my throat when, you know, I think about the 20,000 rupee bond for a 10 crore rupee car and the amount of money that family actually has. And I can understand that there is no, directly proportional quotient for how much a company or a family is earning and, you know, subsequent bail bond amount for that. But there are several unanswered questions here. Many thanks to all my panelists who've joined us here. We'll leave you with some of those questions. Is justice truly blind, or does it recognize wealth? Does a 20,000 rupee bond for a 10 crore rupee car crash mock public perception? Is this policing failure, prosecutorial weakness, or legal inevitability? Can this case still result in conviction, or has the 4-day delay already damaged it? Would this timeline be identical if the accused was poor? And finally, if this is an aberration or a pattern that we refuse to confront as a society? Well, you need to think about this. We're going to slip into a quick commercial breather here. Our top AI story that's coming on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
वकील साहब, अच्छी खासी प्रैक्टिस है, नया फील्ड में क्यों जाना?
सिस्टर, देश का सोच रहे
और इसके फ्यूचर का नहीं सोच रहे।
SBI लाइफ से अपनी बेटी का फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
तभी तो इनको अपने इरादे पूरे करने का राइट है।
करो पूरे अपने इरादे,
अपनों से किए सभी वादे।
SBI लाइफ अपने लिए,
अपनों के लिए।
Every champion's journey starts with second thoughts.
क्या हुआ?
until they see it's possible and there is someone who truly believes in them.
एक दिन बहुत बड़ा आदमी बनना है ना?
Orchids, the international school, raising 85,000 champions across India.
So, John, the scene is...
Hands on the wheel.
It's like everything else fades away. It's you, the car, and the road. John, can we roll?
Let's go.
Roll camera, action! Cut! It's a wrap.
My team is waiting for me.
Where? What team?
Goa Aces. Indian Racing Festival, time to gear up India.
Thanks for staying with us. On our second segment on In Your Interest, we try to decode this chilling warning by a New York CEO about artificial intelligence. If AI can write, if AI can generate reports, if it can analyze stuff, what really is safe for us? And for decades, India's IT sector has been the safe haven of the stock market, a $300 billion powerhouse that turned headcount into high revenue. But on the 4th of February, that decades-old model, it hit a wall. In just 1 week, a staggering $22.5 billion in market value evaporated. The trigger wasn't a global recession or a financial scandal. It was the launch of a new generation of AI agents from Silicon Valley, specifically Anthropic's Claude and OpenAI's latest Codex. For the first time, investors are pricing in a terrifying possibility that the billable hour, the very backbone of Indian outsourcing, is becoming obsolete. When an AI agent can build, it can test and deploy code autonomously, the need for thousands of junior engineers to do the same task over months, it just simply vanishes. And the trigger came from advances in artificial intelligence, particularly the launch of Anthropic's Claude co-work tools and updates like Claude Opus 4.6, which enable more autonomous AI agents. These models can handle complex multi-step tasks with large context windows, up to 1 million tokens of planning, executing, and even self-correcting with far fewer human inputs. OpenAI's GPT 5.3 Codex has added to the momentum as well, shifting AI from simple assistants to systems that complete real workflows, all of it independently. And this marks a clear shift. In the past, and when I say past, I mean last year or the year before that, artificial intelligence mainly helped with tasks, required detailed prompts, and often needed human fixes. Now in February 2026, these autonomous agents manage long projects builds. They can build and test codings on their own, adapt on their own, and reduce the need for step-by-step oversight. Experts describe this as the move towards true workflow automation, where artificial intelligence acts more like a colleague than a tool. And for India's IT sector, the worry is real. The industry contributes over 7% to GDP, employs more than 5 million people, and drives a large share of the country's exports. Much of its business relies on outsourcing, coding, testing, support, and other routine work that large teams handle for global clients. Studies also suggest 50 to 60% of junior level tasks could be automated very, very soon. And entry level jobs face the highest risk, leading to concerns about a jobless recovery even as the sector grows. Surveys show around 75% employees fear that their skills will become outdated, and workers feel unprepared for the changes in hiring and job demands. Again, an esteemed set of panelists that's waiting for us right on the other side of these big questions that we are asking on the show. If AI reduces a 100-hour coding project to 10 minutes. How will Indian IT firms charge clients who currently pay by the hour? And can India's IT giants pivot to higher value AI integrated services? Or will the labor-intensive model become unsustainable? And in the long run, does this mean fewer jobs overall or a shift to new roles where humans oversee and guide powerful AI agents? With us on the broadcast, Siddharth Pai, AI and digital technology expert, Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, FMR consultant, World Bank and public policy expert, and Dr. Kiran Preet Kaur, CHRO and global talent acquisition strategist. Bhanuchandar, let me begin with you. The Matt Schumer warning, the chilling Matt Schumer warning rather. A New York CEO says AI disruption will be quote unquote bigger than COVID-19 and it will happen suddenly. Do you think this view is alarmist or it's realistic? He claims AI does everything that he does technically better than him. So are we close to that tipping point globally? And here's the Indian aspect. Will entry-level coders be the first casualty of artificial intelligence? We've been talking about it for so long, and now we've got a massive article by a CEO of an AI company himself.
Hi, Kabir. So let me talk from personal experience. See, I was a management consultant before doing feasibility studies and financial models. Those projects that actually take, say, 2 to 3 months now happen within like 15 minutes and 30 minutes, right? The Claude Excel can actually produce a financial projection in less than half an hour.
Yeah.
Take the area of coding. App development used to be a big thing. It used to take like months and years. Now with vibe coding, I don't know, many of your viewers would have tried with Lovable or Replit. You can create an app within like say a week. So I think like the timelines are extremely compressed, and we should keep in mind that because of this, there are going to be job losses, right? So so before we go that, like let me come to your question on what happens to the IT industry. See, the IT industry, like still the AI can't do projects end to end. So it's still middle to middle. So you need humans at the either end with the customers and also like directing the AI to produce output. So it's still not end to end. It can come to that later, but it's still middle to middle. So given that, how the AI companies transform themselves is something we have to see. Because the old model of like headcounts is not going to happen anymore, right? It is, but they still the software engineers can use co-pilots and produce the same output, and the IT companies can still be profitable. In fact, like some of the second tier IT companies, say like LTI, Mindtree, Coforge, Persistent, are doing that. So like I think there are multiple models that are going to evolve, but unquestionably there are going to be job losses. How we will tackle that is something that we can discuss in a while.
No, you're absolutely right, because Anthropic, OpenAI, all those examples in my introduction as well, Bhanu, these are models that can autonomously code, they can debug, they can deploy. What exactly remains human in all of this is a million-dollar question now.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think, but as I said, it's still not like end-to-end. Like,
but you yourself said that timelines are being compressed. So, I mean, what is this later that you're coming back at? I mean, it's going to be very, very soon when we're at that.
We have to wait and see, because I think, but it is trending towards that. We do not know like when that is going to happen. But having said that, see, there are many ways in which the people who are actually entrenched or going to be entrenched or feeling the heat can actually work on a few things. One is obviously they can upscale themselves and get into the new modes of coding and etc. Second is there are new areas that are actually coming up. For example, defense technology in India. That is number one. And then a lot of SMEs. India has like 63 million SMEs, and they would need like analytics, coding, cloud, and all sorts of help. And our engineers can go help and so on. And also, like all said and done, there is the world of atoms as well, which is still not disrupted, or at least the robots are going to take a while to disrupt that. So I think there's a whole host of things that are actually present before the engineers, but it is going to be a hard transition for sure.
Okay, to the talent acquisition strategist with us on the broadcast, Dr. Kiran Preet Kaur. Doctor, India's IT success story is built on these quote-unquote billable hours. I was just speaking about that, and the back-end execution. Is that exact model under threat? Because I must ask you, are you already seeing hiring slowdowns in entry-level IT roles? You have those YouTube advertisements in the middle of every possible video that get up 30 minutes, before your usual time, spend 30 minutes on learning these new AI tools, and that's going to be the next game changer that we're looking at. And once you have these AI tools available, maybe I don't need to hire these 20 other people. Isn't that a realistic alarm that Matt Schumer has raised?
Well, thank you so much for asking that, beautifully framed question. It's not the first time, we're going to adapt to a change. We've seen IT revolution in 1990. We've seen an internet era in 2000. We've seen mobile revolution in 2010. This is another revolution that is, hitting us hard. Yes, all the entry-level jobs are, especially billable hours and outsourcing-related jobs are going to face challenge, especially manual coding, testing, maintenance teams, the call center work, that they are at the biggest risk. Where we can see slower hiring, we can see that the skill expectation is now getting higher because with AI augmented workflows, we would need humans to be supervising it. And we're moving more towards transactional routine activities to more foundational AI, where the talent pool is strong, the adaptability is moderate. What we're lacking here is the skill potential, because while the entrepreneurial energy, if you see in India, it's growing very fast, but we're not ready to adapt and re-engineer ourselves. I mean, how many people are really working towards collaborating with AI, learning AI tools? How many are studying the LLM that are going around? The LLM languages are, again, like ChatGPT. We're moving towards artificial generative intelligence. We've surpassed the artificial intelligence now. This is the next era altogether. And especially for IT industry, I think it's just the collaboration that I'm looking forward for the year 2026. We have to adapt, and the faster we adapt, the better it is. And we have seen AI adoption in a lot of areas. Like
no, you're right, Dr. Kiranpreet. My apologies for interjecting here. I mean, I'm trying to understand the job market reality here. Has demand shifted from quote-unquote coders to now AI-enabled engineers, or there's a lack of it because we're not moving at the same fast pace as OpenAI or other companies that are building those models?
Yes, the routine IT jobs have seen reduction in the year beginning itself. Average engineer income, you'll see, is not seen a lot of growth. But if you see AI skilled professionals, they've risen and they will continue to earn more. So job market is going to get the impact if you're not up for an adaptation.
So am I understanding this right? Is the era of mass hiring in the IT sector, is it quietly ending? I mean, if AI eliminates 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs, is that, quietly vanishing?
No. We are moving towards creating another industry altogether, another requirement, where I think the market is ready to look for resources which are equipped with the new latest technology, latest tools. We are creating a new, mass requirement altogether. We'll be shifting the job market into a newer one.
Okay, all right. Let's ask some brutally honest questions. We have Siddharth Pai, AI and digital technology expert, with us on the broadcast. Mr. Pai, in various companies, are people now hiring more humans, or are they now financing and stretching out their resources for more AI tools? I'm asking you this because has AI reduced the number of junior developers that, let's say, a company needs? And if AI improves, let's say, about 30% more next year, would these companies relatively hire lesser freshers?
I think we're being a little myopic by only looking at the coders and the developers. If you talk to any CA, if you talk to any professional, you talk to any lawyer and anyone as well, the drafting capabilities of these AI tools and their research capabilities far outstrip what you see even 3 or 4 year associates end up actually doing. I think what's happening as of now, the senior partners who understand how to use these systems are actually becoming far more efficient by using them as opposed to relying on their teams itself, for that matter. Now, what will the future of work end up actually looking like? I think that's a question everyone's been asking. The future of work will end up actually pairing every single human that you have in your team with some of these AI experts, because to steer these AI experts to end up actually getting the best part, the real skill is no longer about answering questions, it's about figuring out what question to ask. That's why a large number of people have to upskill themselves in terms of prompt engineering. Now, me actually using Claude, OpenAI or Gemini for that matter versus another person actually using it, even though we're using the same systems, we'll end up getting fundamentally different outputs. The whisperer, the tech whisperer who knows how to ask a question who knows where the failures of these systems end up actually being, that becomes the most valuable person. So it's no longer about hiring in bulk and trying to train them. If you understand these skills, you end up inhabiting these skills, and AI native, you will have a fantastic.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Pai. What I'm trying to get at, and we could sound myopic here. The idea is to look at the Indian aspect, and what we actually sell to the entire world. We're talking about IT stocks that are crashing even as AI stocks are soaring. Look at some of those numbers that we mentioned earlier on. Is the market telling us that AI is not a tool anymore? It's a replacement.
No, I think what the market is telling us that they no longer know how to value these IT stocks. I think what we're seeing as of now is a complete repricing. The PE multiples that they enjoyed have actually collapsed because they're now trying to figure out, look, if a single tool can actually come in and you no longer need 20 people, you can actually do 2 engineers along with these tools. How can you end up actually billing on the basis of heads, the number of seats you end up actually occupying? So the fundamental basis of revenue generation for these companies is actually under threat. Now, make no mistake, IT services and AI services will be a very, very strong component of this going forward, but you're no longer reliant on headcount. I think the headcount reduction, you'll end up actually seeing an increase in efficiency, but that also corresponds to increase in training. Now, the question that the market is asking these IT companies is, look, how are you going to give us comfort that your revenue is not going to get undone? The clients and the stickiness that you end up developing can end up increasing. And how are you going to end up actually helping clients integrate AI? Because there's no large company who's going to buy 100 cloud subscriptions, give it to their team and say, go build whatever bots and systems that you want. IT services will play a role, but not in terms of headcount.
But isn't the headcount important for us Indians? I mean, am I understanding all of this wrong? The headcount is what we're known for, isn't it?
No, we are known for quality services. Even the BPO segment that actually came about, we were actually known for the fact that command over the English language, the ability to end up actually being professional, the ability to end up actually working that. The BPO sector has actually gone away from India to a large extent to other countries. Now, when it comes to AI also, you have companies like TCS, etc., claiming that they have 1 lakh AI trained engineers. Now, these engineers are going to end up actually enabling them. Will they continue to remain 1 lakh in terms of number? The answer is no. The low-hanging fruit when it comes to technology and technology hiring is actually gone away. So therefore, the upskilling that's required as of now is how are these new talent coming in? How well can they end up actually using AI? Will they go and hire 30,000 people from tier 3, tier 4 colleges? The answer is no. Will they continue to hire sizable numbers? The answer is yes. Now, the talent that's released, what upskilling can end up happening? That's the $30 million question.
Just days ahead of the big Artificial Intelligence Impact Summit in the country. Bhanu, let's talk about national strategy as well. Is India investing enough in AI research, or are we just consuming US-built models?
Just a quick interjection. We spoke about the AI stocks today, right? Like the Bajaj Finance also had its Q3 earnings today, in which it said that like 10% of its loans originated through AI-enabled assistance, which is essentially a BPO industry, right? So while this disruption is happening, there are also like new areas that are going to open up, like the other lady panelist was saying. We have not even entered the era of AI apps, right? Like we have the LLMs, but the AI apps, say in education, in agriculture, in medicine, all of that are just coming up. So that will take up more of the workforce, the new graduates that are coming out of college. But having said that, we should be very empathetic, right? So we are talking about like 50 million people who have trained in a particular with a particular skill set. And this era demands agency, right? And everybody cannot be an entrepreneur. So how do you actually upskill, or how do you actually find ways in which these people don't suffer much is something that we have to think as a society. And more importantly, my only concern is there are many people in our society, in our policy making circle, that think that this is just another technology that will pass on, right? And so that is being myopic, and that's a great disservice, because the policy dialogue on what to do with employment, how far this can go, is something that we need to discuss. And the India AI Summit perhaps is a correct time to begin those discussions on the larger impact or macro impact of AI.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it there. It seems like this is just another tech revolution, and let's not have such a dismissive or a vain, opinion of it. But that being said, one has to really upskill themselves, and because you essentially are on the train or you're not on the train of this tech revolution. Let's leave it at that. Let's hope for better sense to prevail and not so many losses when it comes to the white-collar industry. Dr. and Mr. Pai and Bhanu, always a pleasure to have you with us on News9. We're going to leave you with that. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of In Your Interest. We're going to see you again tomorrow. Many thanks for watching.
Bangladesh is on edge. Protesters also targeted symbols of Bangladesh's political history.
Mr. Yunus is being the new Jinnah of Bangladesh.
What defines this mob? Who are these people? Where do they come from? Pratham Alo, the newspaper, has also called it a terror attack.
Yunus is the Osama bin Laden of today's world.
The state has no strength, or those who are on the street are the state themselves. There's nothing called spontaneous mob. There's a theory called you keep the pot boiling.
Philippines.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
All right, welcome back. We're looking at some dramatic visuals that's emerged from China's Shanghai, where a massive sinkhole has suddenly swallowed a large stretch of a busy roadway. Security camera footage captures the shocking moment. The road caves in, collapsing within seconds and creating a gaping crater. Nearby structures also seen there crumbling as the road gives way. Authorities say Shanghai remains quite vulnerable to land subsidence due to its soft alluvial soil, excessive groundwater extraction, also thin sand layers and underground voids that's created by rapid urban construction could be one of the reasons. Such conditions have led to collapses in the past as well, ranging from small potholes to large sinkholes like this latest incident. Officials are now assessing this damage, investigating the cause of the collapse. All right, we have some breaking news coming in from the United States. 2 U.S. Navy ships have reportedly collided in waters near South America during a refueling operation. In fact, the incident occurred on Wednesday during a replenishment at sea exercise. The vessels involved were the Arleigh Burke class destroyer USS Truxtun and the supply class fast combat support ship. In fact, according to the report, the collision resulted in minor injuries to 2 personnel. The cause of the incident is not yet clear, remains under investigation. Southern Command spokesperson Colonel Emmanuel Ortiz said both ships were able to continue sailing safely following the collision. Now, in a significant signal for India-US defense cooperation, a top US official has indicated that additional weapon system purchases with India are in the pipeline. Speaking at the congressional hearing on US policy in South Asia, Assistant Secretary for the South and Central Asian Affairs S. Paul Kapoor has said these potential deals would strengthen India's ability to safeguard its sovereignty while also supporting employment in the American defense sector. He noted that despite past uncertainties in trade, momentum in strategic cooperation has continued and is expected to grow further as trade issues are largely resolved. The comments underscore the deepening defense partnership between Washington and New Delhi, highlighting continued collaboration in military capabilities and technology sharing.
So we will expand that. We have also some potential purchases of weapon systems in the pipeline that will help India to protect itself better, ensure its sovereignty, also will create American jobs, be good for both sides. So we have a number of things in the pipeline, and I think that momentum has continued despite some of the uncertainties around trade, and it's going to continue now even more so because that's the trade issue has been largely resolved.
Now, in a major development in the 2023 Seattle crash, the 2023 Seattle crash that killed 23-year-old Indian graduate student, the city of Seattle has now agreed to $29 million settlement with the family of Janvi Kandula. Janvi Kandula was struck by Officer Kevin Dave, who was driving at nearly 119 kilometers per hour in the 40 kilometer per hour zone while responding to a drug overdose call. Authorities said that he had his emergency lights on and was using his siren at intersections. In a statement, the city attorney Erica Evans said Janvi Kandula's death was heartbreaking and the city hopes that this financial settlement brings some sense of closure to the family. Now, Kandula had been pursuing a master's degree in information systems at Northeastern University Seattle campus. The case has sparked widespread outrage after body camera footage surfaced showing another officer, Daniel Orderer, laughing and suggesting Kandula's life had limited value and that the city should just write a check. The remarks led to protest and diplomats from India sought an investigation. Orderer was later fired and has since sued the city for wrongful termination, claiming that his remarks were only sarcastic. The driving officer was also dismissed, fined $5,000 for negligent driving, and prosecutors declined to file felony charges citing lack of evidence of deliberate recklessness. Now, there are only a few countries in the world where WhatsApp is not allowed. In fact, that list added a significant name now, and that's Russia. Amid its ongoing war with Ukraine and heightened tensions with the United States, Moscow has banned WhatsApp, citing legal non-compliance with the country's rules. Russian authorities said the decision was taken due to Meta's unwillingness to comply with the norms and the letter of Russian law. Now, they added that Meta could resume operations if it complies with Russian regulations and enters into dialogue with the government. Russia has in recent years blocked several social media and messaging platforms for allegedly violating domestic laws. The Putin-led government is now promoting a new national messaging platform called Max. Since WhatsApp has long served as a key channel for international communication, many users are now looking closely at what Max offers and whether it can serve as a viable replacement. In response, WhatsApp criticized the move, warning that the ban would cut more than 100 million users off from what it describes as private and secure communication and could ultimately result in less safety for people in the country. Supreme Court of Pakistan has ordered the formation of a medical team to examine former Prime Minister Imran Khan's eye condition after a report submitted in court stated that he had only 15% vision left in his right eye. The court directed that the medical examination, along with allowing Imran to speak to his children, be completed before February 16th. In fact, the order has come during a hearing on Imran's jail conditions at the Adiala jail that's led by Chief Justice Yahya Afridi. In fact, the court has said Imran's health was a matter of serious concern and sought the government's position on this. The Attorney General has assured the bench that providing medical care was the state's responsibility. According to a report, Imran claimed that he had normal vision until October 2025, but later suffered blurred sight and eventually a sudden loss of vision due to what doctors diagnosed as central retinal vein occlusion. In fact, he's underwent a procedure at PIMS Hospital on January 24. While that Supreme Court rejected the request for a family-supervised medical exam, it did emphasize that accountability and proper medical care must be ensured. The matter will be reviewed again after compliance with the court's directions.
इमरान खान के खिलाफ एक जुर्म का इर्तकाब हुआ है और ये जुर्म इस रियासत ने किया है। इस जुर्म का चेहरा अब्दुल गफूर अंजुम है। ये नाम हम नहीं भूलेंगे। मुझे इमरान खान साहब की तरफ से खुसूसी हिदायत आई है। सलमान सफदर साहब ने कहा, खान साहब ने कहा है, सलमान राजा को कहो अब्दुल गफूर अंजुम के खिलाफ फौरी मुकदमा दायर करें।
Now, Manchester United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe has stirred controversy with remarks about immigration in the United Kingdom. The billionaire industrialist suggested that sustained migration has fundamentally changed the country, using the phrase, huge levels of immigrants coming in have colonized the country, adding that migration was costing too much money for the nation. Ratcliffe has argued that recent population growth has been largely driven by immigration and said that political leaders must be prepared to take firm and potentially unpopular decisions to address what he has described as mounting economic and social strain. The comments has prompted swift political reactions. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has criticized the language as inappropriate and divisive, emphasizing that Britain's identity is rooted in diversity, tolerance and the rule of law. Government representatives have also underscored the need for immigration policies that balance economic demands with social stability. Now, reaction has extended beyond politics. Manchester United supporters groups and anti-racism organizations voice concerns that such rhetoric could deepen divisions, particularly given the global profile of the Premier League club. Critics argue that individuals in prominent public positions bear heightened responsibility when discussing sensitive national issues.